Okay, so let's look at number 1. It says find 2 solutions to each of the following equations, and the interval is from negative 90 degrees to 270. So we need to make sure we are in degree mode, and we're solving for all of these thetas, if you will. So we're solving for that, almost treating it like we're solving for x. Okay, so the first one, we can solve it one of 2 ways. We can take the arc cosine or the inverse cosine of both sides. Okay, and that would look something like the following, where we have 0.766 and we have the arc cosine of theta. We know these cancel out to a form of 1, and all I'm going to be left with is whatever this value is in the calculator. So let's go to the calculator. Alright, going to the calculator, we want to make sure we're in degree mode. So from here we'll press home 52, and we're going to change it to degree mode, and then go up and make it your default. Press 4 to go back to your current document, and we're ready to punch in the arc cosine of that 0.766. Now we can press Control Enter, and we'll get a nice decimal answer. So we can write it to 3 decimal places as a good default. So it'll look something like 40.004 degrees. Now we know that there's a plus and minus version of this. So there's a positive and there's a negative 40.004 degrees. Remember, cosine is an even function, and from your notes we know that it's going to be that positive and that negative version. Let's say that you forgot that. Well, you could also do an insolve feature, and you do insolve when you're looking for angles. So you're going to do basically what your original problem stated, but you're going to do comma theta. You're going to tell it to look for theta. And specifically, you're going to tell it to look for theta between negative 90 and 270. So now let's punch all of this right here. Let me highlight this in gray. We're going to punch all of that into the calculator and see what we get. Okay. So it'll be menu 36 for insolve. And then we're going to press cosine of theta. Theta is right here as a variable. And yes, you can put x if you'd like. Equals 0.766 comma theta. And then comma negative 90. Oops. So comma negative 90 degrees comma 270. And then Control Enter, and we still get that same one. So if I wanted to get the second one and I forgot that it was a plus or minus, I want you to visualize almost like a number line right now. So there's a number line that says between negative 90 degrees and 270 degrees. Okay, that's what we're looking at as far as here. It's non-inclusive, so we're thinking about not including 90, not including 270, but everything in between, our answer is going to be found. And we found a positive 40.0. So that's going to be about right here. This is our first answer. Now our second answer will exist either to the left or it'll exist to the right of that number that they gave us first. And now with our calculator we can check. Let's check the one to the left. So let's go up, press Enter to copy, and we're going to say negative 90 all the way to like a little bit less than 40.004. So we can say like negative 90 to about 39. And then there's the other one. So it said this first one existed and this negative 40. So 0 is about here if you want to get your point of reference. And that first one was a 40.004. And the next one was a negative right here. Was a negative 40.004. And there are only 2. And the answers, let me highlight those in red, are going to exist right here and right here within that original domain from negative 90 all the way to 270. If you wanted to check if there existed another one in between, now the question only asked for 2, but if there existed one between this positive 40 that we first found and this 270, you're just going to go up, you're going to press Enter and grab it, and then you're going to put let me move this down just a little bit. So we'll move all, oops. Let's try to see if we can, actually, I know what I'll do. I will scroll up on the calculator. So it'll be 270 will be your high end. And you're saying now from 40.004, so let's go about a little bit to the right of that and say 41. And you see it says no solutions found. It says no solutions found because of the fact, let me come back over here. It says no solutions found because it didn't give us an answer from that 41 to that 270. So this froze just a little bit. Let me recapture my screen so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay. And there you see it says no solution found when we inputted that from 41 to 270. So you could check both sides of your first answer after you get it with that solve feature. Or just know from the notes that even functions like cosine are the plus and minus, and that answers with tangent are plus 180, and that sine is 180 minus whatever that first answer that you got. So these are important things to remember, positive or negative answers. Okay? Or you can use the insolve feature to verify that you're going to get those two answers. Alright, so let's go ahead and move on to B. So B, we're going to take the arctangent of -5 on both sides. So this is really all we're wanting to find. And if I go to my calculator and just find the arctangent of -5, otherwise inverse tangent of -5, we get -78.690. So theta is -78.690 degrees. And from what I just mentioned moments ago, we know the other answer is going to be if I add 180. Because tangent is collinear, basically every answer is going to be a whole 180 degrees away from each other. So if I just go to the calculator and now add 180 degrees to my last answer, let's see what we get. This calculator, for some reason, keeps freezing on me. Alright, so there we go. So we're going to add 180 and we get 101.31. Okay? So 101.310 is the other answer. And again, we could have just done that from doing the solve feature, okay? So let's do the solve feature just to get a little bit more practice as far as those intervals are concerned. Okay, so we'll press menu 3-6, and then we'll go ahead and start setting it up as the tangent. I'm just going to use x this time, is equal to -5. Comma x, comma -90, comma all the way to 270. And the first answer we get was the one that we originally got. So if -78 is my first answer, I can check the first one as far as the first interval by saying from -90 now to a little bit less than -78, like -79. It says that there is an answer at -90, but if I also go, actually, let me do this real quick. It's going to be from -90 to -79. I can say my next answer could be a -78 all the way to that 270. So if I were to go to the right of my answer, basically, that's where we show that there's not going to be an answer. Okay, so for this instructional purposes, as far as this angle is concerned with the calculator, these tangents will not give you that other answer. So you need to know that if you add 180 for collinear relationship between tangent and the answer that you found, you will be able to get that other answer of 101.310. Okay? So let's see if we can go ahead and see about this -90. Okay, so with this finding, we see that testing out the other domains as far as from -79 to 270 or -77 to 270, it's showing that there's no solution found. So we are in fact going to need to know this information when it comes to tangent. Okay, the sine, it may give us the answer, and the cosine, it may give us the answer, most likely it will, but the tangent, we have to for sure know that it's collinear every other jump as far as that plus 180 is concerned. Okay, so let's move on to part C. It says the cotangent of theta is equal to 2. So that means if I take the tangent basically of both sides, I can reciprocate this and make it equal to 1/2. Or I could just take the arc cotangent of both to see what will be my first answer. So let's take the arc cotangent of 2 and let's see what it is that we get with the calculator. Alright, so arc cotangent. Remember, we're going backwards to find that angle, and it's going to be 2 just as we see it. When I do control enter, I get 26.565. So 26.565 degrees is the answer to the first one. And then if I wanted to find the other one, yes, it's just like tangent. We can just add 180 degrees. Okay, so if we go and we add 180 degrees to that, we get 206.565. And yes, this is still between this -90 and 270 degrees. So those two would be my answers. Let's try to see if we can solve feature this. Okay, so we're going to do the solve feature just like we tried with the tangent and see what cotangent spits out. Menu 3.6. Now we have still the problem that was originally given to us was the cotangent of theta, we're going to call it x, is equal to 2. And we're going to do comma x, comma between -90 and 270. And we get our original answer of 26.565. Now this exclamation point in yellow that you see this warning sign doesn't mean that it's necessarily wrong. So just disregard that. Don't think of it as you did something wrong as far as trying to find the answer is concerned. So we know 26.565 is an answer. So let's use that, and we can say between, let's say 27 and 270, does there exist another one? The answer here, it says no solution is found, but we know there is one. We know that when we're adding 180, there does in fact exist one. And I believe a big reason that it's not calculating that solution is the fact that you have vertical asymptotes with tangent. So there are breaks in that graph. It's not a continuous function like cosine and sine. That's why it doesn't work with these, and it's saying no solution found, even though we know that there did exist one that was 206. Okay, so let's try something just real quick. Let's say we want to say between 205 and up, and sure enough, it does pop up. Okay, so a big reason why it's showing this, and that could be a reason why you're talking about these yellow warning signs, is the fact that there are vertical asymptotes in a tangent and cotangent graph that is just saying that there could exist some answers. There could exist some things that you have to be mindful of. But remember, back here with the in-solve feature with the tangent, even though there were no solutions found, we know that it didn't give us a warning label. So a big thing on this is if you're going to use the solve feature, trust it with everything except tangent and also basically anything with a vertical asymptote. So the sine and cosine did work, but everything else, you definitely have to know your rules. And again, I'll highlight those rules one more time, or the plus or minus answer, adding the 180 and then subtracting from 180 when it comes to sine, tangent, and so on and so forth, and the cosine. So let's do these bottom three real quick. Okay, so we're going to take the arc sine, otherwise inverse sine, of -0.31. Okay, let's see what we get there. So let's go to the calculator. We'll say the inverse sine of -0.31, control enter, and we get -18.059. Alright, so we know that's one answer, negative 18.059 degrees. And we know it's going to be 180 minus whatever it is that we got. So if we're subtracting this negative, it's really going to be adding. So when we solve for the other one, it will be, here we go with the calculator, we're going to say 180 minus what we got up here. So I'll just go up there, click enter to copy it, and our new answer is 198.059. So 198.059 degrees, and those would be the two. Now let's see if we could do a solve feature that would give us both of them, because we know sine is a continuous function that does not have vertical asymptotes. Menu 3.6, we're going to say that sine, let's say x, okay, sine of x is equal to negative 0.31, comma x, because that's what we're looking for, comma from negative 90, comma to 270. We got the negative 18 that we originally got. And if I said negative 17, something a little bit higher than it, we could see that sure enough it gives us the other one. And the big reason of it is a continuous function with no breaks. Okay, so let's keep going and now move on to E. So E says the secant of theta is equal to 18 over 11. So the secant does have vertical asymptotes, so does cosecant. All of these do except sine and cosine. So we're going to have to use what we know with cosine, that we're going to have this positive and negative interpretation with secant. Okay, when I say cosine and secant, we have a positive and negative answer. Okay, cotangent, tangent, it's going to be our answer plus 180. And then sine and cosecant, it's going to be the 180 minus whatever we get for an answer with our calculator. Okay? So now that we know when we can use solve feature and we know when we cannot use solve feature. So E and F, we cannot use the solve feature, so we're going to go straight to the math. So we're going to take the arc secant of 18 over 11, and this is theta, and let's see what we get. So we're going to go arc secant, oops, and then control divide, and our fraction is 18 over 11. And we get 52.330, okay? So theta is equal to 52.330 degrees. And it's going to be the plus and minus version because it's just like cosine. So I have a positive and a negative version. Let's go over here where something is just like sine. So here's cosecant, which is the reciprocal of sine. So when we get our answer, we're going to subtract it from 180 to get the other answer. Okay, so theta is equal to inverse cosecant, or arc cosecant, of 6. Okay, so in our calculator, again, we're going backwards to find the angle. We'll have arc cosecant of 6, and we get 9.594. So theta is equal to 9.594 degrees. And the other answer is going to be, well, subtract that answer from 180. So we'll say 180 minus whatever you get from that other one. And this is our other answer that we're going to have for part F. It'll be 170.406 degrees. And those are going to be the answers. And yes, just like we talked about on the other videos, there will be warning signs and they may not give you the answers if you try to do the solve feature. So from a kind of overview summarization of this video, make sure that you understand when that solve feature is applicable and usable, and that you have to understand these three things in regards to how you get the other answers of what we talked about in this video.